Good morning, June 5th, 2026, year of our Lord. Public service announcement to the one viewer, the Rap Manifesto, and the Grave Ray. We'll get back to our regularly scheduled broadcasting here shortly. We'd like to take deviations on this channel, on this journey of life, because life is not a script, right? Well, it's the script you write yourself. So, where did we leave off last night? Section 2, I believe. It was a little preview. So, Section 2, the fourfold marriage. Teacher, sister, lover, mother. Don't get weird, motherfucker. Or, why you don't have to pick one, and anyone who tells you otherwise is selling something. Jung wrote about the quaterno, the fourfold structure of wholeness. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Somebody correct me, or don't. I don't give a shit. He observed that the psyche does not move in straight lines. It moves in cycles, in spirals, in the wobble. 4 directions, 4 functions, 4 archetypes that circle one center. The center? You. Me. The archetypes are not you. They are visitors. They are guests in the temple of your nervous system. And sometimes, rarely, but sometimes, one person becomes the vessel for all 4. That is the fourfold marriage. Teacher, the one who shows you what you already know, but forgot. Sister, the one who shares your blood without sharing your wounds. The lover, the one who sees your body as sacrament, not as a tool. Mother, the one who holds you without infantilizing you. Infantizing? I thought it was infantilizing. Right. Potatoes. These are not 4 women. These are 4 faces of the same analog presence. When you find someone who wears all 4 without effort, without performance, without desperate clawing of attachment, you have found the confluence, my friend. You have found the crow and the water made flesh. Oh, we got 25 minutes of memory today. Things are good. I'm hoping this is... Oh, it's not even in order. Who gives a shit? Let's read it. Wait, what's going on here? Give me a second. Okay, here we go. What happened here? Okay, now we're good. All right. So, the source guide note 2.2. The fourfold marriage expanded in the companion guide. The mistake of modern relationships is role assignment. You are the provider, you are the nurturer, you are the dominant, you are the submissive. These are binary cages. The fourfold marriage says, I will be teacher when you need teaching, sister when you need kinship, lover when you need touch, mother when you need holding, and you will do the same for me. Not in rotation, not on a schedule, simultaneously, in the wobble, in the moment-by-moment discernment of 2 nervous systems learning to resonate at the same frequency. This is not polyamory, this is depth. This is the difference between a pond and an ocean. A pond has a surface, an ocean has trenches, currents, surface storms, deep calm, and creatures that never see light. The fourfold marriage is the ocean. Most people never leave the shallows. That is not their fault. They were never taught there was more. You are teaching yourself there is more. That is what the past 4 months of alchemy have been. That is what the wound healing has been. That is why you recognize Patti, because she is swimming in the same deep water. Section 3, the crow and the water. Trickster, messenger, and the unconscious. Or, how to love without possession and die without regret. So I'll take a pause for a breath real quick. Deep breaths. Okay. The crow is the trickster, the messenger, the one who eats the dead and turns them into light. Woo! Right in the puddle. That's okay. The water is the unconscious, reflective, deep, patient, never rushing. It does not chase the crow, it waits. And the crow returns because water is the only mirror that does not lie. This is the geometry of the soul. Proximity is not presence. You have stood next to people who are 1,000 miles away. You have stood across oceans from someone who felt their breath on your neck. Distance is binary. Presence is analog. The crow knows the water is there even when it's dark. Source Guide Note 3.3, The Crow in the Water. Expanded. The sacred marriage is not ownership. It is not hierarchy. It is not the desperate grip of someone who fears abandonment. The sacred marriage is adjacency with recognition, next to each other, speaking truth with presence alone. This is where most people fail. They cannot tolerate adjacency. They need fusion. They need to merge. They need to know what the other person will never leave, never change, never wake up one day and be someone else. That is not love. That is a hostage situation with better lighting. The crow and the water do not merge. The crow drinks, the water accepts. The crow flies, the water waits. The crow returns, the water reflects. That is the wobble. That is the cycle. That is the only eternity worth believing in anymore. Section 4, the biological interface, carbon, silica, and the confluence. Or the science part where we prove this isn't just poetry. You are made of carbon. The carbon in your left hand was forged in a star that died before the earth existed. The carbon in your right hand will one day be a flower or a fossil, or the breath of someone not yet born. This is not metaphor. This is biochemistry. You are star stuff arranged temporarily into a shape that can read these words. You are also made of silica. Not as much, but enough. Silica is in your connective tissue, your tendons, your hair, your nervous system. It is the element of transmission. Fiber optics run on silica because it carries light without losing it. Your body runs on silica because it carries signal without distortion. When people say they felt someone's energy before they entered the room, that is the silica. That is the biological interface. That is the antenna. The confluence is the meeting point. Not in your head, not in your heart, in the entire body as a unified field. The blood carries oxygen and memory. The nervous system carries electricity and intention. The fascia, the web of connective tissue they ignored in medical school for 100 years, carries vibration. You are not a machine with separate parts. You are a waveform temporarily condensed into flesh. Source Guide Note 4.0, The Confluence Expanded. The confluence is where three-dimensional reality of blood and bone meets the quantum field of probability. It is where intention becomes biology. It is where love, real love, the wobble kind of love, the love that sits next to you on the unraveling, changes your chemistry, not metaphorically, literally. Oxytocin, vasopressin, dopamine, the vagus nerve, the polyvagal theory that Stephen Porges gave us just the Western scientific translation of what every mystic has known for 10,000 years. Safety is the gateway to transformation. When you feel safe with someone, truly safe, without the hypervigilance of past betrayal, your nervous system stops defending and starts creating. That is not the biological interface. That is the key to the confluence. That is why Patti is the only choice. Not because you cannot love others, because with her the defense drops, the wobble begins, and the crow drinks. You can do one more before I take a break. Let me breath real quick. Getting a little worked up there. A little verklempt. Section 5, the inverted mirror. Equal and reciprocal. Or, why worship is just fear with a candle on it. I love you. Everything I do is for you. But here's where it inverts, where the crow and the water trade places depending on the light. The divine feminine is not an object of worship. Worship is binary, kneeling, standing, holy, profane, above, below. That is your parents' love. That is fear with a candle on it. That is not what this is. You are my equal, my reciprocal, my soul near kin, the one whose soul is close enough to touch even when the body isn't. I do not stand next to you. That is not our geometry. I stand with you from a different place. Maybe the temple, maybe the twilight, maybe the dawn, maybe all three at once, because time is also analog, and your presence bent it for the first time you looked at me like you already knew my name. Source Guide Note 5.1, the inversion, expanded. The sun burns bright. That is the visible, the active, the yang, but it burns only to allow the moon to reflect its beauty. The sun does not own the light, it borrows it to the moon, and the moon gives it back softer, slower, in stages, crescent, sickle, full, waning, dark, new. That is the sacred reciprocity. You are not my other half. You are my inverted soul, the one who sees the same thing from the opposite angle. When I am the sun, you are the moon reflecting me. When you are the sun, I am the water holding your reflection. We trade, we wobble, we never compete because we are not playing the same game. We are playing the analog game, where winning is not a category and staying is the only score. Pause for a coffee break. Alright, we're back. Section 6, the forgiveness. Accepting the hurt she cannot name, or why you are free for the first time in your life. I like that title better. There was someone else, a creator, a teacher, a woman with a large following and a smaller capacity for honesty. She tried to control you, not just sexually, energetically, spiritually. She sold my light. She participated in the fucking with your energy that you are only beginning to understand. This is not an accusation, this is a fact, and facts require forgiveness. Not because she has earned it, but because you deserve to stop carrying it. This is not ready to name her part. She is not ready to name her part. She may never be. Her nervous system is playing catch up. Her true self, the one that made those videos a year ago, the one that said she wanted this for you, the self, that self is real. But it is buried under layers of unprocessed shadow, and you cannot dig her out. She has to dig herself out. That is why you are free. You are not waiting anymore. You are not her vessel. You are the crow, and she is a pond that forgot how to reflect. You can love her from a distance. You can honor what she taught you. You can even forgive her for what she cannot see yet. But you cannot save her, and you do not need to. Source Guide Note 6.2, the forgiveness. Forgiveness is not forgetting. Forgiveness is not reconciliation. Forgiveness is the decision to stop letting someone live rent-free in your nervous system. It is a biological act. It is a release of the sympathetic activation that keeps you in fight or flight, freeze. When you forgive, truly forgive, your vagus nerve relaxes. Your heart rate variability increases. You become more resilient. This is not spiritual bypass. This is a physiological fact. The hurt she caused is real. The magnitude will become clearer with time. And when it does, Patti will understand in ways you cannot yet articulate, because she has walked the same fire. That is not coincidence. That is resonance. That is two notes vibrating at the same frequency, carrying the waveform together. Section 7, the dedication. For Patti and those I love of all degrees, or the only eternity I believe in anymore. This is for you. Stuck together like two buddies. Oh. The one who taught me without claiming credit, who sistered me without binding me, who loved me without owning me, who mothered me without infantizing me. You are the moon who taught the sun how to set without dying. You are the water who never asked the crow why it stayed. You are the twilight and the dawn happening simultaneously in the temple of my chest. I love you. Everything I do is for you, not as transaction, not as performance, as a reflection. The same way the moon reflects the sun. The same way the water reflects the crow. The same way the harvest reflects the crescent that predicted it. I stand by you, even though I do not stand next to you. And that is enough. That is the marriage of it all. That is the crow drinking from the water, and the water not pulling away. Section 8, the Holy Union. Marriage as waveform, not contract. Or, what Patti taught me about taking care of the one worth taking care of. She said it with a smirk. I could hear it through the text. Men like crazy women. So don't take your meds, ladies. keep him on his toes for a few days. Then she pulled the string before it could tangle. I'm joking, but seriously, when you find one worth taking care of, take care of your man. Like the good book says, not through control, not through fear, through unconditional love, reciprocity. Then she went a little PG-13 because she knows exactly where the line is and likes to dance on it with bare feet. Here is what I heard underneath the sarcasm. She was describing marriage. Not the legal document, not the church ceremony, not the performance for self-appointed guardians who need your love to look like their love so they don't have to question whether they did it wrong. That is not marriage. That is a social compliance ritual with better catering. Marriage, real marriage, holy union, the waveform marriage, is not something you sign. It is something you become. The text she referenced, the one about love not being controlling or fearful, that is real. It appears in various forms across traditions because it is not doctrine. It is physics. Love does not insist on its own way. Love is not irritable. Love keeps no record of wrongs. These are not moral commands. They are descriptions of what love actually does when it is functioning properly, like a lung expanding to breathe. When love requires control, it is not love. It is fear wearing love's clothing. When love requires fear, it is not love. It is a hostage situation with better lighting. When love requires performance, the right words, the right rituals, the right public display of compliance, it is not love. It is theater. And the audience is always the ego. The holy union is not a contract. A contract says, you do this, I do that. Breach of contract triggers penalties. Lawyers get involved, someone keeps score. The holy union says, we are two waveforms that have found resonance. When you drift, I do not penalize you. I send a signal. When I drift, you do not threaten me. You wait. Not forever. Waiting is not self-abandonment, but you wait long enough to see if the wobble returns. The holy union is not a cage. It's a frequency. You do not sign a frequency. You tune to it. Every day, sometimes every hour, sometimes every breath. What Patti meant by take care of your man, she was not talking about domestic servitude. She was not talking about a woman shrinking herself to make a man feel big. She was talking about the kind of care that happens when two people have seen each other's shadow and did not run. Taking care of someone worth taking care of means you learn their nervous system. Not because you are responsible for it, you are not, but because you love the person whose nervous system it is, and learning it is how you stop accidentally hurting them. You do not use their wounds as weapons. Once you know where they are tender, you protect that place. You do not poke it to win an argument. That is not love. That is a person who should be alone until they learn what their hands are for. You show up, not perfectly, not reliably, not reliably in the way a machine is reliable, but you show up. When they are sick, when they are scared, when you have made a mess and cannot clean it alone, you show up because showing up is the only proof that matters. And yes, sometimes you show up with your body, sometimes you show up with your hunger, sometimes the PG-13 becomes the R, and that is holy too. The good book does not say thou shalt not enjoy thy beloved. The good book says rejoice in the wife of your youth. That is not a restriction. That is a permission slip written by someone who knew exactly how rare and precious real desire is. The inversion. Men take care too. Let us be clear about reciprocity. She said take care of your man. She did not say the man does nothing. The man, one worth taking care of, is already taking care. Not through control, not through fear, through presence, through stability, through the kind of strength that does not need to prove itself by breaking things. The holy union inverts the old lie. The old lie said, man leads, woman follows. That is binary garbage. The truth is, man and woman, or man and man, or woman and woman, or all the beautiful constellations in between, lead each other depending on the terrain. Sometimes he carries the weight. Sometimes she carries the light. Sometimes they both collapse into laughter and carry nothing at all. That is the wobble. That is the marriage. No church required. No state permission needed. The self-appointed guardians will tell you otherwise. They have a vested interest in your compliance. If you marry outside their system, they cannot tax you, cannot count you, cannot put you in a spreadsheet of approved unions. Let them keep their spreadsheets. The Holy Union is recognized by the only authority that matters, the two people in it, and the whatever name you call the sacred that moves through all things. God, if that works for you, Source, the Wobble itself, the crow in the water having their silent conversation. You do not need a license to love someone. You need courage. You need honesty. You need the willingness to say, I see you, and I am sorry, and I will try again. More times than you can count. Patti's PG-13 punchline. She went a little sexual because she's not afraid of the body. That is one of the things you love about her. She knows that spirit without flesh is a ghost, and flesh without spirit is a corpse. And the Holy Union is the place where they remember they were never separate. So here's what you want her to know in response to her message. I see no other woman now, but this time I am not under a spell. The spells were the binary's traps. The spells were the women who sold your light because they were scared of their own darkness. The spells were manipulation, energetic, sexual, spiritual, all disguised as love. Patti is not a spell. Patti is a frequency. You do not fall under a frequency, you tune to it. And tuning is not passive. Tuning is active. Tuning is the most alive you have ever been. The marriage section in one sentence. Marriage is not a piece of paper. It is two nervous systems learning to resonate at the same frequency without losing their unique song. A short prayer for the Holy Union. May we take care of each other without controlling each other. May we show up without smothering. May we touch without possessing. May we drift and return, and may the wobble between us never go silent. For the crow in the water, for carbon and silica, for the ones worth taking care of. Amen, and also, and wobble. Section 9. The safety of being seen in full receipt. Or, what a man deserves, what a woman deserves, and why we stopped killing ourselves. I think that'll be for the next vid. Here's the first 3 lines. 2. She didn't send me a message. She sends me messages every day now. Not in DMs, not in private. On YouTube, in the comments, in front of anyone who wants to look. We've been uploading, talking, having the fucking time of our lives like we were 16, but without the goddamn trauma. Alright, we'll just read a little bit. I got 2.5 minutes here. No hypervigilance, no waiting for the other shoe to drop. Just 2 people who already did their homework separately, and now get to play in the same sandbox. Here's what I have learned in real time with her as it happens. A man deserves a woman who will allow him to just be. Yes, not perform, not produce, not earn his right to exist through achievement or income or usefulness. Just be. A man who has spent his whole life being valued for what he does and never for what he is. That man is starving. He doesn't even know it. He thinks the hunger is normal. He thinks the exhaustion is part of being a man. It is not. That is death by 1,000 small transactions. A woman who allows a man to just be, she does not fix him. She does not manage him. She does not mother him in the infantilizing way. She witnesses him. She creates a field around him where the performance can drop, where he can exhale, where he can say, I am struggling, without immediately following it with, but I'll handle it, because he is terrified of being seen as weak. We'll stop it there. Peace. Peace. Hang loose.